And welcome to episode 555 of the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Ian, and this is the only podcast that says...
We live and die in the shadows, for those we hold close and for those we never met.
Nice.
Yeah. Little Mission Impossible action there.
Did you watch it?
I did. It's finally on Paramount Plus. I watched it last night.
How good was it? Yes.
Oh!
I know, I watched it too.
Oh, it was so fucking good.
It was so exciting, dude. I fucking loved it.
Like, and I love the Mission Impossible series. Like, I mean, I'll admit, 2's a little kooky, but, you know.
I just rewatched them all.
Yeah. And I
about 3 months ago.
Yeah, and that's John Woo, and, you know, and it's so John Woo, but, like, I still love them all. Like,
yeah.
But this was so fucking good.
It was together, right? But did you see what I meant when there was a couple times during this movie where he looked old?
Yeah.
Like
there are a couple times you're like, oh, wow, he's starting to look 60.
His face.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he looked up a couple times, and I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
You really are 60.
I mean, it wasn't that Travolta Pulp Fiction
No.
gasp, but I noticed. I was like, oh, you're looking a little rugged.
Yeah.
You know? But I'll never forget when I saw Pulp Fiction in the theater, in a crowded theater.
Yeah.
When that body showed up, everybody was like, ooh.
You know what's rough, though? Is, like, he made that work.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you look like Broken Arrow, another John Woo movie.
Yeah.
Like, he makes it work well.
Yeah, he does.
There were a number, like, there was like a renaissance of Travolta there for a while where, like, he was like the biggest movie star again.
Right.
Like, for someone, like I mean, I should say for someone, he's a quality actor. I mean, he's a little kooky, you know, but overall, like, I mean, you look at his body of work, like, he's a solid actor, and especially later on, like, I mean, he was phenomenal in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, he was.
You know, but then, like, you know, he does the stuff later on that he does, and it's like, wow, Travolta still kind of has it.
Yeah, he does.
You know, I mean, even like as odd as it is to say, like, I enjoyed the Staying Alive Santa Claus commercial.
I did too.
You know, like, that was like the oddest thing for me to like be like, yeah, you go, Travolta, you go.
Yeah.
You know.
So anyway, back to Cruise. It was a great movie. I can't wait for the next one.
No, like I was like sad it ended.
I know. Like I felt like it. I wanted more at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was really good. That fight scene between the two women.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Or not. The woman and
Gabriel.
The
villain.
Yeah. That fight scene was incredible.
And that guy's so good.
And
like, he's that guy. Like, he shows up and you're like, oh, okay, he's good. I know him.
And it was a brutal end to her.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a brutal end to her, and you could feel its pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I also like that when Luther's like, when Haley Atwell's like, you know, she's dead because of me, it's my fault. And he goes, no, you're alive because of her.
Yeah.
Like, that line was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And, like, the way he delivered that, and...
Yeah.
Like, Ving Rhames is, like another guy. Like, I mean, he's an understated, very good actor.
Right.
Like, you think he's just, like, you know... And especially in this franchise, because he's not the muscle.
Yeah.
You know, he's the tech guy.
Yeah.
You know, you think he'd be the guy who, like, you know, going into the bar fights. No, he's the tech guy. You know?
Yeah.
You know, I thought, I mean, overall, like, that movie, the only thing that drove me nuts.
Okay.
And again, this is just as a fan of the franchise. I hated at the beginning how they made Ethan Hunt and the IMF feel like this shadow force within the government.
Yeah.
Like, it's like there's a secretary of the IMF. Like, it was Alec Baldwin before. I think at one point it was Hawkeye.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the last movie, it was Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
You know, now looking back, I looked up some information. Like they said, Angela Bassett was supposed to appear in the movie, but she couldn't because of COVID.
Okay.
So she wasn't able to be in it. But at the same time, like they were making it sound like, yeah, like he kind of answers to all of us, but he doesn't answer to anybody. And
Right.
you know, we just kind of like we hope he'll do what we ask him to. And it's like, no, that's not how the IMF works.
Yeah.
And he's not the only IMF agent or team.
Right.
Like there are other teams out there. Like,
Yeah.
but like Ethan Hunt is like, I get like he's like the A squad, but he's not.
Yeah. No,
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like it was like very weird how they made it sound at the beginning of the movie how like the IMF operates.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not it at all. But like I let it go because like everything else was so fucking good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that's like one quibble was like this little bit about like how the government and the IMF operate. And it's
Right.
that's a quibble I can let go. You know?
Yeah.
But it did like at first it drove me nuts because I'm like the way they're talking about him. It's like, yeah, nobody knows his name, or I mean, everybody knows his fucking name.
Yeah. It's Ethan Hunt.
Come on now, Kendrick knows his name.
Right.
You know. So, but yeah, but otherwise, like outside of that, like the way like the entire thing played out, the way they brought back older characters, and the like everything that they used, like it was like such good storytelling. Like, and you know, I mean, Cruise is going to give you Cruise, you know,
Every time.
and like I said, I mean, you know, Ving Rhames is really good in this, and Simon Pegg is really good in this. Rebecca Ferguson, for as long as she was in the movie, was very good in this.
Yeah.
But the addition of Haley Atwell, who I love,
Yeah.
like I was just like, oh, she fit right in.
How about when he got the car?
Yeah. The little Fiat comes pulling out.
So good. He was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That was such a good moment.
It was.
Yeah.
But I
It had a
love
little more comedy in it.
it did, but it also like it was like every other chase scene like that you've had in a Mission Impossible movie. It's like a BMW i7 or something like that. And he's like just like it's him behind the wheel just doing impossible shit, and you're just like, yeah, that's Ethan Hunt doing his thing. And in this, it was like this comically little vehicle, you know, but it's electric, souped up. But also, like, because he was handcuffed to her and it was the wrong hand,
Yeah.
like, the chase never went quite the way he wanted it to.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can see, like, in his mind, I got, oh, no, I missed it because my fucking hand is tied.
Right.
It was shit like that. That was like, it was like really interesting how they played that chase off as compared to chase scenes in the past with the franchise.
Yeah, I thought I'm telling you, I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, it was so
Like,
fucking good.
It was, I mean, it's that weird thing of like, I'd always recommend that to somebody who hasn't seen the franchise.
Right.
Because like, while there's a lot of like backstory and like the characters, you know, you don't really need it still to watch that movie.
Yeah.
And it's just that fucking good.
Yeah. I agree. I 100%.
You know, and
it's such a good movie.
It was. It was like one of the best action movies I've watched in a long time.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anyway, so how you been?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched anything. I haven't.
Yeah.
I have not watched. I've been trying for the past couple of days. There's just nothing on TV. There's just nothing on for me. I was gonna watch Mission Impossible again, but my Paramount app won't load. But I have just not found anything on that I wanted to watch. I restarted watching. I watched the first episode of Daryl Dixon again.
Yeah.
Just because it's good, and but there just hasn't been anything on, and I do flip something on, and I'm kind of like, I turn it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just not interested. It's not the fact that I don't know. There's just not much. There's not a lot of quality on right now, and I don't want to watch a garbage shit.
Yeah.
And I don't have Apple, so I mean,
Yeah.
if I had Apple, it would open up a whole new window for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I don't. So I mean, like, and I'm not going to get it.
Right.
So, but I'm trying to think. I honestly don't think I watched anything except I watched a documentary last night about the synagogue. They got hit in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I know, deep stuff, but I watched that.
Yeah.
And but that was about it. I mean, I haven't really watched anything.
The other thing I watched this week was He-Man Revolution.
Okay, I saw that on
Masters
there.
of the Universe Revolution.
How was that?
It's very like I would highly recommend it. I would recommend you go back and you watch He-Man Revelation or Masters of the Universe Revelation first, because it leads into like this is the cartoon. It's produced, and I guess he has a big hand in the story, but it's done by Kevin Smith.
Okay.
And there was a lot of people who didn't like Masters of the Universe Revelation because He-Man's not the main character. Tila is. But I really like the story that they told.
Yeah.
And it's only like, it's 2 seasons, 5 episodes apiece. You watch that first, then you go to Revelation or Revolution.
Yeah.
And it was only 5 episodes, but it was an intense 5 episodes. And it is really well done.
Okay.
Like, the only problem I have with it is the fact that they're stuck with so many of these, like, just goofy characters and the goofy names. Like, in the first series, like, you know, there's a moment where, like, you know, oh, it's Stinkor, you know, and you're like, oh, man, like, you know.
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
Child, please.
Yeah. But otherwise, like, from a storytelling standpoint, it's not anywhere close to, like, the He-Man of the 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's like Kevin Smith took all that mythology that they created over the years
Yeah.
and kind of took it and shook it into a bag and then kind of created his own story using all of that mythology, like pulling from this and that and the next thing and creating, like, for the most part, like, He-Man, it still doesn't, like, have an offensive moveset.
Right.
Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that was always, like, He-Man can't, I mean, he's got a sword, but he can't stab anybody with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and there's a great moment in the first one where Skeletor goes, like, he finally used the pointy end of that thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the other thing. You got Mark Hamill as Skeletor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like, you want to talk about, like, you know,
Yeah,
a real
yeah.
pull-in.
Yeah.
But, but I mean, the animation's phenomenal. The voice acting is fantastic.
Okay.
I think the story that's being told is really, really good. And again, like I said, like, really drawing from, like, just the mythology from everywhere and kind of creating something his own, but it really makes a ton of sense and it's really, really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so, like, I highly recommend, like, the Masters of the Universe Revelation and Revolution.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, it's basically the same story being told over 3 seasons.
Okay.
Just the second half, the you know, the first is called Revelation, and then, like, it looks like a new show, but it's the same show, just under a different name. But it's really, really good.
That's cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah. And you brought up Daryl Dixon. Did you see the trailer for the new Walking Dead show?
The one with Rick and Michonne?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Okay, hold on. All right, so you just watched the trailer. You've watched more of the stuff post The Walking Dead than I have, obviously. Like, how does that fit in? Do you feel like with what you've seen already?
It doesn't.
Okay.
And maybe it ties into the Negan and Maggie story.
Right.
But it It doesn't really. I don't see the connection just from the trailer.
Right.
Daryl, that's a whole.
Right, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
A whole other continent.
Yeah. But yeah, like the Negan and Maggie, I don't see it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It looks good. I'll watch it.
I'm tempted to watch it as well because I like that character of Rick so much.
Yeah, and well, that's why I stopped watching The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Because when he left the show, I was like, it's it for
Like,
me.
yeah.
I even have a piggy bank.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Which is a badass piggy bank.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I just love that character.
Yeah.
And like he was just part of the show. There was a time in the show that I didn't like him. But
I didn't mind Farmer Rick. I didn't mind Insane Rick. I didn't mind the bald Rick when Negan showed up. Like Rick to me was always the most interesting character, and I always felt like he always knew what he like. Even when he was lost, he still knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So all variations of Rick I've always liked over the years.
Yeah.
I know Farmer Rick really bothered you.
It did.
But it didn't bother me at all because I felt like it was a phase he had to go through.
Yeah. No, I understood it.
Right.
I
it
understand.
just drove you nuts.
It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. When it started getting away from it got away from itself a little bit, and I just couldn't get into it. And like, to be quite honest with you, how do you top Negan? You just really can't. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That character was so strong of a character to bring in. And it was so well done when he was bad Negan.
Yeah.
But you just can't top that. And it wasn't because of the death of Glenn, which was killer.
Right.
But it wasn't because of that either. It was because I just don't think you can get any higher at a peak in your show than you did with Negan.
Right.
You know what I mean? At his prime level.
People will tell you the same thing about the comic.
Yeah. So, and once Rick was gone, it just kind of lost me. You know what I mean? Like it just, I don't know, it just kind of lost me.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it looks good. I'm looking forward to it.
Like I'm intrigued by it because, like I said, I love the character of Rick Grimes, but also like it's just that whole thing of like how like I want to know what happened in a way. Like he's on his deathbed, he's ready to die, and he's pulled away in a helicopter, and here he is alive.
Right.
And it's like, what did somebody see in Rick Grimes that they were willing to do that for?
Right.
You know? And it's like, it becomes that thing of like, again, the interest of the character. Because it's like, is he that much of a badass that like somebody else like 100 miles away, which at that time would be a long distance.
Oh yeah.
Has heard about his exploits and feels we need him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's the guy that we need that's going to put the pieces of the puzzle together for this military or whatever. Like, it's a very interesting thing to like think about, like where he is, where he, you know, where's he trying to get to at that point? What's his state of mind?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of like, it's just that character is just so interesting to me. Like, I want like. You almost want completion. Like, what is the end for that character?
Right. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm excited. I've been excited about each series.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. I just have to wait.
Right.
I don't want to get any expectations on it.
And I hate the short shrift Sharon.
My Sharona.
My Sharona. Yeah. God, I can't think of her name now.
Shimon.
Yeah. Yeah, the other character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, her character is interesting, and I mean, her going full samurai there, it looks like she's pulling a full fucking Jon Snow.
Yeah.
At one point, like, you know, like, there's a lot of interesting things about that character, but like, and I like that character a lot, and she's interesting in the comic books and everything else, but it's like, the hook for me was always Rick.
Yeah. No,
I mean, that was it. That was the real hook to that show for me was Rick.
Yeah.
And like everything else is a supporting character.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I may actually watch it out of curiosity. And that's something I haven't, like, I like Daryl, but like, it wasn't enough to pull me in. I like Negan and Maggie, but it wasn't enough to pull me in. But Rick, bringing Rick back, that might be enough to pull me in.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I liked the Rick and Maggie. The Maggie and Negan story. Negan's the one that I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I like Daryl Dixon, but I liked him in this because of how the story was told.
Right.
It was just a good story.
Right.
And like, I get it. Like, I understood where he was coming from.
Yeah.
And then, not that I've been in that situation, but I get it.
Right.
And then with this new one coming out, I'm interested because it's Rick.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked her too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Especially the early days. Of
Yeah.
her. But yeah, I'll watch it. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm ready to watch it.
That, and did you see the trailer for the new Roadhouse movie?
I didn't.
Okay, we gotta watch this.
All right, Roadhouse.
All right, so I heard about this.
Okay.
Like I heard it was like being made,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, you can't remake a classic.
Oh yeah.
Like why are we trying to, besmirch Swayze's good name, and this looks very good. It looks similar but different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they took the concept, like,
Yeah. It's a similar story.
right. Like there was the line, like, and it was straight from the first one, like, nobody wins in a fight.
Yeah.
And like the only thing I don't like is like when Dalton was brought in to the Double Deuce.
Yeah.
Which is like sad people were like, he fucking knows the name of the bar from the original. It was the Double Deuce.
Yeah.
He was a bouncer.
Yeah.
Like his job was he was a cooler.
Yeah, he was brought in.
He was brought in. This was his specialty to go into roadhouses like this that had a bad reputation and calm them the fuck down, so the owners could make money.
Yeah.
And that's not what he's a UFC fighter who apparently has lost his way and is being hired to be a cooler.
Right.
So, like, I feel like we're going to miss a little bit of, like, because what was some of the best parts of the original? Well, it was fucking, old, what's his name? It was the...
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott, yeah. It's like, the sage old cooler. And, I mean, Sam Elliott's a complete badass. Like, his mustache was in full bravado in that movie. But, it's like one of those things, like it looks to me like there are pieces of the puzzle that are missing from the original. But like it also makes sense, like well, how do you get those skills when you were a UFC fighter? Like
Yeah.
Plus, they had the connection because Conor McGregor's the heavy.
Right.
So that makes sense that they would make that tie in anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm not the biggest Jake Gyllenhaal fan. Like usually he's a creeper to me.
Yeah.
This looks pretty good.
Yeah. I agree. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'll definitely watch it when it comes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if he's going to hold a candle to the original.
But if it entertains me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you know what I did watch?
What did you watch? The original Roadhouse?
No. Fast and Furious.
10?
Yeah.
Fast X? Oh!
That was the dumbest shit that I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not going to deny that it isn't. But how good was Momoa?
He was, but I know. I know you're hard up for this dude in this movie.
Like, he's so good. He's like the Joker.
He was.
He was.
But he kind of, after a little while, it kind of got on my nerves just a little.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just, it almost became... Like an Aquaman who's like, yeah! Like the fucking head-filled roar.
Yeah.
It was kind of getting like that for me. But I did appreciate it.
Yeah.
And like what he was doing with that character. I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, completely understand.
Yeah.
But some of the shit that was going on was just like... I almost turned the movie off when Cena went out of the airplane in that fucking craft. Whatever the fuck that was. When that happened, I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, no, that was Vin. Vin came out of the airplane.
No, well, that was unbelievable. I'm
Yeah.
talking when Cena got in that airplane mod with that kid and flew in.
Yeah.
I was just like, give me a break. I enjoyed the Statham part. I did.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
I actually thought that part was real good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was just so ridiculous. There was I don't know. I can't explain it. It got so ridiculous at points where I was like, you're just kind of blowing my mind right now. It's just, the action is just...
It's ridiculously over the top.
Yeah, I know. And I think that's why I had a problem with it.
Right.
Not that I like real action. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because, I mean...
We just praised Mission Impossible.
Right,
and
and everything's
takes place
fucking
there.
made up. You know what I mean? Like, I get that, but it was just so, like... Especially the fucking space plane that came out of that fucking thing. I couldn't. I almost turned it off. And I like Cena's character, too, with that kid.
Yeah.
I did. I thought that was really a cool mix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was just like... I know I keep saying that. It was just too much for me, I guess. But I love the race.
Yeah. Like, because that got back to, like, the original.
Yeah, when they were racing and shit, and
Yeah.
Momoa had everything planned out and
Yeah.
stuff, and I was like, that's badass right there. You know? But I felt like even acting was bad at some point.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Like, the brilliance of...
I think I said come on like at least 7 or 8 times.
Right. Like, this is... I said it when I initially reviewed the movie. It is brain candy. Like, I cannot watch that movie. I have to completely suspend all belief in reality.
You have to.
You have to.
Right.
Because it's that bad. And no, the acting is not good. You know, and it's ridiculous at points. Like, but that's the beauty of those movies at this point. It's like, you're there for just how fucking ridiculous can you get? You know what I mean? Like when in Rome, when like he takes that ball with the car, like you're dead. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Like you're not walking away from that. Right. You know, and yet he drove away from it. Like I mean, this isn't happening. Like you know, there's so much shit that goes on in those movies where it's like. And that's just like from like Fast 4 forward. Like the first 3 were kind of realistic at least.
Yeah.
But like after like that, like they just went over the top and over the top and over the top, to a point now. Like I mean, the last one they launched a car into space. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's where they've gone. You know, so it's like I buy into the over the top. None of this is anywhere near realistically possible.
Yeah.
You know, you're not pulling down 2 Apache helicopters, you know, with a Dodge Charger.
Right.
You know, I don't care how skilled of a driver you are. The physics just don't add up. Mm-hmm. You know, And, but at the same point, like, I'm all in on it just because it's like, I've ridden this ride for 20 years. I've watched every single fucking movie. I know they're stupidly ridiculous, but it is just, to me, it's bell to bell, pure macho adrenaline, over the top brain candy.
Right.
And I'm there for the 2 hour, 2+ hour, just ridiculousness of it. Right. But you throw in, like, I thought Momoa was phenomenal. Like, everything about that character, I was just like, oh,
I liked, and don't get me wrong, I liked him.
Yeah.
Don't get me, I did. I thought the character was really good. I thought he was on point.
Yeah.
Just toward the end, I was getting like
his level of insanity was just perfect.
I think if the script was written a little bit better, I think I would have enjoyed it more.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
Like his one-liners and what he was coming out with. I think it was. If it was written a little bit better. I know I'm being critical on it, and I shouldn't be because it's a shit movie to begin with.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, I think if the script was written a little bit better,
right,
I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more.
Right.
Coming from him.
Right.
Because I thought he was nailing the character.
Right.
And then he just kind of went almost out of character at some points. Not out of character, but goofy. Not goofy. That's not the wrong word, because he was goofy. I don't know how to describe it. I just kind of was like, you can almost see me like go,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I did the same thing when Hetfield's a perfect example.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
like, beginning to end, and then, like, Black came out, and then, we started getting the, That's, we kind of, live shit and binge, and then it just kind of, like, evolved into his persona.
Yeah.
For a while, and I just kind of got to, like, and anybody that knows me knows that I love Metallica, and I love James Hetfield. I do. But it just kind of got used too much, and I felt the same way with Momoa in this movie.
Like,
does that make sense?
Right. Like, my all-time favorite. Like, I was watching the video, and it was Thin Lizzy doing Whiskey in the Jar.
Yeah.
And that's a great song, and Metallica did the remake, and all I could hear, even though it was Thin Lizzy, and it wasn't anywhere near what they were doing, was, it was Hetfield going, Whiskey in the Jar.
That's one of my favorite songs.
I know. I love their version. But he does that. He's like, you're just like, wow. Could have dialed that down to about 10.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying to an extent, but, like, I liked it from Momoa because when you allowed Momoa to dial it up to 12. Like, you allowed him to dial it up and do something you never see Momoa do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's never got, like, at least not that I've ever seen, he's the heavy, and he's the heavy in this, but he's always, if he's not Aquaman doing, like, he's the stoic, silent, he's going to stare daggers into you with, those eyebrows and stuff.
Yeah, like Momoa off Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you either get Momoa in Game of Thrones, which, by the way, like,
poor Daenerys. I'm just
yeah. But I mean, like, you get that speech, like, even though it's all in Dothraki, like, when he gives that speech about crossing the poison water and everything, like, you're like, oh shit, this is fuck yeah. And then, but usually it's just like silent Momoa just staring at you. You're just like, oh fuck, he wants to fuck her dirty. But
that wasn't just dirty.
Yeah, that was wrong.
That was like, I don't even know what that was.
Yeah.
When I first watched that, I was like, God damn, son.
That's uncomfortable.
She's not comfortable.
I'm not comfortable.
Get her a pillow.
Yeah.
Something.
Something.
Get her out of the dirt.
Yeah. You mean like the back of a Volkswagen?
Dude, that was like, when that scene came on Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
I was like, good Lord, man.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah.
caveman shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just remember Clan the Cave Bear when he gives her the old...
Yeah, I just couldn't believe what
Yeah.
was happening in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, that's... Talk about your sex scenes. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'll never forget that. First time I watched it, I was like, am I blushing? You had no idea what he was saying.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
he's
no,
speaking
no
in
translation.
Dothraki, and I'm like, you go, man.
Yeah.
She don't care, man.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
That shit is ribbed for your pleasure.
She loved you after, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was crazy. Crazy town.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones was fucking off the hook.
There is shit that takes place in game, like, and I understand, like, it's in the books for the most part, but like, like,
There is shit in Game of Thrones that people have not ever imagined before.
no. Well, Vince McMahon may have.
Right. Yeah.
You heard about what happened? Like, what came out this week?
No, I didn't hear about
Oh shit! Well, I mean, there's two WWE stories that we have to talk about.
Okay.
Because we have one I wanted to talk about because it's very interesting and it pertains to a lot of what we discuss.
Yeah.
But the other, you end up having to talk about Vince McMahon because of this. So on Tuesday, WWE announces that they have signed a 10-year, $5 billion deal to air the Monday Night Raw on Netflix.
Okay.
Okay. Which is like, holy shit, that's a game changer. This is live programming on Netflix has been trying to get in the live programming game. This is a huge deal for them. It's a huge deal for WWE. Like, this is coming off the heels of Peacock having the exclusive playoff game, which drew 25 million people to watch that. You know, I'm like, wow, this is fucking phenomenal. And so I want to discuss that, but also on the heels of that, a Wall Street Journal article comes out where a woman is suing Vince McMahon, taking him to court for sexual harassment and sex trafficking. Now, you're scratching your head, making funny faces, wondering, what the hell could she mean by sex trafficking? Well, this is a batshit crazy story. And there are, like, so this is all allegedly, but there are, like, in the suit, there are screenshots of text messages between this woman and Vince McMahon.
Okay.
Where, like, he's talking about, like first off, so he meets this girl because she needs a job. Like, she apparently live in the same apartment building.
Right.
And the apartment manager's like, well, go see Vince. Maybe Vince can hook you up.
Yeah.
Her first meeting with Vince McMahon, he's in his fucking underwear. You know, right off the bat. That's a clue to walk out. But apparently she has problems. And she sticks around. She gets a job. And she's like Vince's fuck doll.
Okay.
Like, and apparently at one point, they had a threesome with a guy named John Laurinaitis, who is the head of, at the time, he was the head of personnel and development.
Okay.
So he's like the guy who's in charge of hiring wrestlers and stuff. And apparently, mid-threesome, Vince shits on her.
Come on now.
This is in the Wall Street fucking Journal, dude. And, like, the question you have to ask yourself, is this a 70-year-old plus man who just sharded himself? Or was this just a man getting off on shitting on a woman? Like, and then later on, like, there's like these like text message. Like apparently he was like doing things with her with like sex toys named after professional wrestlers.
I think I just got sick a little.
Oh,
Off the shitting part.
yeah. And then, but the end of it, one of the big things that comes out is he was offering her up as part of a negotiating ploy with a professional wrestler who also was a former UFC champion. That's one person and one person only. Brock Lesnar.
Really?
Yeah. And apparently Brock Lesnar was asking her for piss videos. And he was supposed to have a rendezvous with her, but apparently he couldn't make it because of weather from Saskatchewan, where he was flying out from. But he was offering her up as part of his negotiation with Brock Lesnar to bring him back in was, well, I have this girl you can fuck.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's all documented.
Really?
And it's like holy shit. Like you always knew, and Vince had to resign. This was all before the sale of TKO to Endeavor to form the TKO company.
Okay.
Because Endeavor also owned UFC, so they created the TKO group, which is WWE and UFC. Vince sold his majority shares to Endeavor, so he's no longer the majority shareholder, but he was on the board as the executive commissioner or some shit.
Okay.
He has had to step down. He's defending himself. He's all this is bullshit, but to protect the WWE and TKO and Endeavor, I will step down from my position. So he's no longer in any sort of power whatsoever with the WWE. Slim Jim had pulled, tonight was the Royal Rumble. We're recording on Saturday, the night of the Royal Rumble. Slim Jim had pulled their sponsorship and all future sponsorships after these allegations had come out against Vince.
Right.
Vince steps down and Slim Jim came back. Okay. Which was okay, that's interesting. Earlier this last year in their SEC filing, Endeavor listed Vince McMahon as a problem.
Really?
Because the year before he had stepped down, if you recall, there was all these allegations that were surrounding him. So he stepped down as the chairman of the board, but he was still he still held all the he was the majority stockholder, so he still owned the company. But he was stepping down from the as chairman of the board, and his daughter Stephanie stepped up as chairman. And then, as things got closer to him wanting to sell the company, because apparently he knew shit was going to fly, he took back his seat as chairman of the board, brought back certain people to get the sell to Endeavor to go through. But Endeavor was in their SEC filing, was yeah, he's a fucking problem, and we know it. Because it's known that he was using company money to pay off women who were signing NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So there's more than one person out there.
Right.
But this is the girl who's stepping forward and saying, this is what happened. He stopped paying me.
Right.
As part of my NDA, I was promised X amount of money, which I was never delivered upon. So my NDA is now null and void, and I can tell you what the fuck happened.
Right.
And this is what the fuck happened.
Nice.
And it's it soils, in a lot of ways, this massive deal with Netflix.
Okay.
Because that's no longer the story.
Right.
This week was supposed to be about this massive deal with Netflix, and now the Royal Rumble as we go into WrestleMania season. We're on the road to WrestleMania. This is what it's all supposed to be about. And now it's who else is going to have the hatchet come down on them?
Right.
Because you were a crony of Vince McMahon and neither knew of this or you either knew it and participated or knew it and kept your mouth shut.
Right.
You know what I mean? Heads are going to fucking roll over all of this.
Right.
And it's amazing to just think about. But you push all that aside and you get to the story I want to talk about, and that's once again new media, new streaming services forking out massive dollars for what is a surefire property. Like,
Okay.
Monday Night Raw, on average, generates 1.5 to 2 million viewers every Monday night.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter if they're going up against the NFL. Doesn't matter if they're going up against the national championship game for college football or basketball. It doesn't matter what they're up against. 1.5 million people tune into Raw every Monday night.
Right.
No matter what.
Right.
You know.
Standard.
That 1.5 is the standard. Like, on a week that they don't have Monday Night Football against them, or a playoff game, or some major sporting event, you're looking at close to 2 million. You're not bringing that over to Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, who is desperate to get into the live event game.
Yeah, they have been.
They've been trying very hard. Like, they've done some golf tournaments.
Yeah.
They did the Chris Rock special live a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like, they've been trying very hard to get their foot in this door. And this is the first really big step that they've taken.
Right.
You know, and this is off the heels of, like I said, 25 million people watched the Dolphins and the Chiefs on Wild Card Weekend.
Right.
On Peacock, which was behind a paywall.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's an impressive number. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, like, how many people had to sign up for Peacock? How many people kept Peacock? I don't know. Like,
right.
that they're not telling you.
Yeah.
But on that day, 25 million people watched a game that was only available on a streaming service.
Right. That's crazy, right?
It is crazy to think about.
Big money. Big money is happening. Go Detroit. Anyway.
Yeah. Go Chiefs. I can't root for the Ravens.
I know you can. I know you can.
But I mean,
yeah, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, but I the thing that I'm curious about, what you're like, this is a massive deal for Netflix. And I mean, it's $500 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not, you know, small change.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination. Like, I know you don't watch the product, but based on what I've told you, I mean, and you know the history. I mean, Raw has been around for 30 plus years at this point.
Right.
You know, it's one of the longest running programs on TV, and it's 52 weeks a year.
Right.
You know, there's no off season for professional wrestling. Like, what are your thoughts on what this means for not only Netflix but streaming as a whole? And is this another death knell for conventional television?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I mean, point blank.
Yeah.
I think streaming is the way is right now the future, and not even the future. It's happening right now.
Right.
I don't know the numbers, but there's a shit ton of people that are streaming now.
Yeah.
Only.
Right.
Because I think people are tired of paying $250 a month for cable.
Right.
And like the cable companies are just not, wise to it. I just, it blows my mind. I guess they're counting on their faithful, you know what I mean, to get cable.
Right.
No offense to anybody that has cable out there. I'm not down, I'm not being mean to you at all. I'm just saying that you'd think they would lower their prices to match the competition, but they're not doing that.
But the problem becomes this. It isn't so much the cable companies that are the problem. It's the suppliers that are the problem. Because, like, ESPN is still one of the most expensive properties for any cable service to carry.
Right.
So you have, like, in order for you to carry that ESPN, like, it's funny because, like, ESPN is double dipping in a way.
Right.
Like, they're still on cable, and that's their main source of income, but Disney also has ESPN Plus, for you to streamer.
Right.
But it becomes that thing of, like, we're still charging you, the cable company, like $1 a head for every person you can get, that can get this. Like, excuse me. Like, so we're charging you an extraordinary amount of money that the cable company has to pass on to you to keep the service.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why cable companies aren't like. Anytime when I worked at Dish Network, anytime we had a dispute with a service, like as an example, like when we had the big dispute with it ended up it was Paramount essentially. Like it was MTV, it was like all those types of channels.
Sure.
Like I can't think of what they'll. I'm sorry.
That's right.
It was 20 years ago, but they put out their information about and they like weeks beforehand, like call Dish Network because they're going to take off, Nickelodeon. So your kids can't watch Nickelodeon. It's all Dish Network's fault because they won't pay.
Right. Well, that still goes on.
Right. It still goes on tape. I'm just using it as an example because this is what I had to endure. Meanwhile, I'm being given a script to read to you that tells you that Viacom, that's the company, Viacom, they are asking for extraordinary fees to be paid for us to carry their programming. And unfortunately, we'll be forced to pass that cost on to you and raise your rates. So we're fighting for you, the consumer, to not raise your rates because of what Viacom wants to do. So don't complain to us, complain to Viacom.
Yeah.
So that's the fight you're getting into.
Right.
So that's why, like, satellite companies and cable companies, their prices aren't coming down because these companies, even though Paramount has everything that they have to offer, from MTV and Nickelodeon and VH1, that's all on Paramount Plus. You're still paying the cable company X amount of dollars to get it as well.
Right.
So no, like I don't blame the cable companies. I blame the provider because they're all charging premium prices for cable companies to carry their content. But then they bemoan like, well, this is the end of conventional television. Well, it's because you've reached a point where you can't raise the price anymore.
Yeah.
But you're also asking me to subscribe to your streaming service to get all the exclusive you have there, plus all the shit I'm getting on cable.
Well, it's a thing. It's like, I hear you. It's just, I know some people that are paying $300 a month for cable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like dumbfounded, like,
yeah,
what the fuck is happening? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Why are you spending that much on cable?
Right.
And they're like, and you also talk to people that have cable and X, Y, and Z, and they're like, well, you're paying for Paramount, and you're paying for Netflix, and you're paying for this, and you're paying for that, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I'm still at least 125 lower than what you're paying.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, at least.
Right.
And if I excluded YouTube TV, which I don't pay for, my daughter does.
Right.
Bree. But if I excluded that, I would be even lower.
Yeah.
And the reason we have, I appreciate the fact that she has YouTube TV.
Right.
I do. Because, I watch it here and there, but I mostly watch it for games.
Right.
For, football games. But there's also some good stuff on YouTube TV. It's a good service.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, $80 a month or $70 a month.
Right.
But it's still comparably.
Right.
Just say I had YouTube TV and my internet.
Right.
Okay. I'm still under $100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm still under the mark.
Right.
Compared to that astronomical number.
Right.
Because, I mean, it is. That's an astronomical number.
It is. I agree. All right, so the other thing, the other major institution that is dying
Okay.
is Sports Illustrated.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about this last week when we went off on our tangents, so I didn't get to this. But
Okay.
So, Sports Illustrated used to be owned by Warner Media.
No.
It was part of the Time Warner Group.
Okay.
And then Warner Brothers sold off those assets. And let me be professional here and actually pulling up the fucking article. Sports Illustrated was owned by many years by Time Incorporated, a media publisher. In 2018, Time Incorporated stable of magazines, including Sports Illustrated, was purchased by Meredith, another media publisher. But it was understood at the time that Meredith mainly wanted People and a couple of other Time titles, and that they'd probably sell SI as soon as they could find a suitable buyer. In 2019, Meredith sold Sports Illustrated to Authentic Brands Group, ABG, which is not a media publisher. ABG collects old familiar brands that are past their primes and tries to extract value from them by leveraging them in new contexts. In the case of Sports Illustrated, they plan to create Sports Illustrated bars and restaurants, Sports Illustrated gyms, hotels, and so on. They were mainly buying the name Sports Illustrated. Of course, Sports Illustrated is also a media property, not just a brand name, so when ABG purchased Sports Illustrated from Meredith, they licensed the SI publishing operation and all SI archives to a dude bro douchebag publisher. I'm sorry, this is from UniWatch I'm taking this information from. The Maven. It was the Maven that had then laid off a bunch of Sports Illustrated staffers in 2019.
Okay.
So over the past 3 years or so, ABG has owned Sports Illustrated, but the Maven has been running Sports Illustrated. All the ridiculous things that have happened to Sports Illustrated during that time have been due to the Maven. Just to make things a bit more confusing, the Maven changed its name to Arena in 2021. So last week, basically, Arena basically laid off everyone.
Wow.
Now, ABG still owns, so apparently, there was the licensing agreement between Arena and ABG was coming to an end, and so ABG just laid off all of their employees that were attached to Sports Illustrated since they're no longer going to be publishing.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Sports Illustrated, but this feels like the end of an era to me. And I understand like print media is dying. I understand that. But still, there was something about getting your Sports Illustrated every week.
Right.
I had a subscription to Sports Illustrated a couple of different times.
Right.
It was, to me and to many people, that was the Bible of sports journalism.
Okay.
If there was a major sports crises or controversy, Sports Illustrated was at the head of reporting that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
And plus, there were, everybody's the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Yeah, that was there, and sure, we all enjoyed it, but I was subscribing to Sports Illustrated for the sports aspect of it. I enjoyed the photography. I enjoyed the covers. Who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated? What was the big story this week? It was all stuff that I enjoyed getting from Sports Illustrated. Plus, you'd get the controversies that they'd break and they'd cover.
Yeah.
And this was like, to me, this was like the epitome of like, because there were other sports, like there was Sport, and there was like, there were other sports magazines over the years that have come and gone. But Sports Illustrated was like the brand. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is probably the end of it, of that era of like that brand. This ABG group, like they're trying to like, we're gonna have the Sports Illustrated, hotel and casino in Las Vegas or whatever. Like, what the fuck is that?
Right.
Like, nobody's going to that. But like the brand as a journal, like having journalistic integrity at a time, like it's in my youth and in my 20s even, like it's part of a bygone era, but it's still something that like I always loved and appreciated. I don't know if you had like the same feeling about SI.
I didn't read much of it.
Yeah,
I mean, a little bit, but not. Yeah. I didn't like buy the magazine.
Yeah.
Except for the swimsuit issue. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't buy it that often. I'm trying to think back on where I got my news. On sports, Probably from cable.
Well, I mean, ESPN did kind of was like the biggest competitor.
Yeah.
Especially like in the 90s, when you had people like Bob Levy, and Chris Bermanson, and like there were real journalists working at ESPN at one point. Like, again, I think if people forget, like at one time, ESPN was not just a bunch of talking heads debating the Dallas Cowboys.
Right,
like,
exactly.
There was a time where there was real journalism taking place at ESPN as
Chris
well.
Chris Berman was great.
He was. Bob Lee was great.
Yeah.
Like there were so many one of my favorite shows. It's probably the birthplace of like debate TV, but it was done so well. It was a show. It was on every Sunday morning called The Sports Reporters, and it was like four reporters like from like the Washington Post and the Boston Herald and like people like I only knew like their names because like you would hear like so and so reported this for the New York Post, and our investigation says that, like you just hear these names and you'd be like, wow, like I mean this is like big time, and like you got to watch these guys like on ESPN every Sunday morning for a half hour. It wasn't debate TV; it was conversation TV, where they would have conversations about topics of the day. Like,
right.
And it was like so interesting to like listen to them like talk about that stuff. And I mean, but it was probably the start of like debate television as we see it today, with like First Take and what Skip Bayless does and all that horse shit. But like there was like this like journalistic integrity that ESPN had, and when they reported something like it was like, okay, this is big,
right.
It was like, but they were competing against like Sports Illustrated. At one point, like Sports Illustrated was like part of like CNN.
Right.
Like CNN would like have like their sport. They
had a
segment. They had like a sports hour, and like it was like the Sports Report hosted by CNN. Presented by Sports Illustrated or something like that. And that it was like a lot of interesting stuff that took place in that time. But at the same time, like Sports Illustrated was like, it was like ESPN and Sports Illustrated were like the two top, especially in the 90s, like the two top where you were getting your news from. Like the third was like your local newspaper.
Right.
Like that's what every day I read the sports section.
Yeah.
Right. I got a Post Gazette. Like the advantage of working in a restaurant was like people would leave their newspaper behind, so I'd grab this newspaper, I'd read the sports page.
Right.
And that was always interesting. Like, but like it feels like much the way the newspaper is gone, it makes me sad.
Right.
like it's just aging out.
Yeah.
But it still makes me sad that like we discussed like that feeling of going to the video store last week.
Right.
There was something to sitting down and spending 20 minutes reading the sports page.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm gonna, like the average person would like get up, they'd grab their newspaper, they'd have a cup of coffee, they'd eat their breakfast, and read the newspaper. Like for me, that was the sports page. Like I read it from beginning from cover to cover.
Okay.
And I read the box scores and like even like the stuff that like I wasn't all that interested in, I was still like looking at
Right.
Well, there's horse racing here. Let's see what because gambling was interesting to me, even though
Let's see what Lamb of God did.
Yeah.
Like,
it was odd stuff like that like, I you got that from the sports page. And then you'd like see like the next week, like, okay, well, here's something about horse racing in Sports Illustrated. So let me read this, Like, that was just what it was.
Controversy. They shoved something up that thing's ass.
Yeah.
And he ran like the wind.
My all-time favorite, I wish I could remember who it was. I think it may have been, oh God, I can't think of his name. No, that's a sin. Beano Cook.
All right.
And Beano Cook may have said, like, when you're watching the dogs, whichever one takes the shit last, that's the one you bet on because he's the lightest.
Nice.
Thank you, Beano.
Yeah.
Thank you. Number 3 took a shit. Let me go bet on him.
Yep. $50, please.
Yeah.
He's light.
He's light.
That guy runs like the wind.
Yeah.
When he's light.
Yeah.
I do miss the paper. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Because I read the paper too.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just something about getting a newspaper and flipping the pages.
Yeah.
Articles, sports. You had everything there. And I do miss that.
I also miss when we were kids. This phased out a long time ago, and I still missed it for a very long time.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But in the Sunday paper, in the entertainment section, like they would have the listings for like the movies for the week. But they always had like all like the little movie posters.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just a breakdown of like, it showcased Cinema East, here's what's playing, and it's showcased Cinema West, here's what's playing, and it was like you had like this mini little like Empire Strikes Back poster, but underneath that it had like all the theaters that it was playing at in the local area.
Yeah.
Now you could find your theater and see when it was playing.
Yeah.
Like or like here's Arthur. Here's Porky's. Like it was like all these little movie posters of all like the big movies that were coming out.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was like one of like favorite things was like when we go back to our grandparents' house on Sundays.
Right.
And because my parents never got a fucking Sunday paper. Like
Yeah.
Like they weren't reading the fucking paper. But going back and like they had the Sunday paper, and you get that entertainment section, and like looking through it, like, oh yeah, look at this movie poster. That's really fucking cool.
I mean, I can remember when the Sunday was like 50 cents.
Yeah.
No, really. I mean,
but it was thick as a fucking phone book.
It's dating me, but I mean, like, it was 50 cents. Now it's like $3.50.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's half the size.
Right.
And you're only buying it for fucking coupons.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. It was just, I remember Mom bringing home the Sunday, and I'm like, and the first sections that I would get would be sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what movies we were going to watch that week.
Right.
You and I. But I miss it, I miss just seeing, the different theaters, like the Rex and Independent and Blue Dell Theater. And,
right.
I mean, like looking at all those theaters, and I was like, oh, this is playing here,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because that was the other thing. Like, you didn't have, like, the multiplexes like you had today. Like, the biggest one was, like, Showcase Cinema East or West. And they had, like, 10 theaters.
Yeah, and that was, like...
That was monstrous.
Creme de la creme.
Yeah. Like, most theaters had 2, maybe 3 theaters.
Right.
And so you had to, like, find, like, where the movie you wanted to see was playing. So, like, yeah, like, Gremlins may be playing at Showcase Cinema East, but Back to the Future was playing at the Oakmont, or
right,
like,
right.
It was like stuff like that. Like you not all theaters had all the movies like they do now.
Agreed. Yeah, and it's like not all theaters had the lemon blend.
No, they did not. So that was the other thing. Like, which one has the lemon blend?
That's fucking Toxic Avenger fucking drink.
Oh. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. Right
I figured.
And I got a holes in my mouth. And I'm still like, lemon blend.
That lemon blend was off the hook.
Yeah.
It was.
It was. Oh, nectar of the fucking gods.
It was nectar of the fucking gods. My big thing was, and I don't know why, because I'm, especially in my past, not so much now, but when they came out, well, now with the Nachos, when they came out with Nachos at the theater,
oh yeah,
I thought I was in seventh heaven. I was like, this is like, it's the best shit that was ever invented. Fucking give me a nacho, I'm good. No, really.
Yeah.
Nacho and a lemon blend, I'm happy as hell. It wasn't just popcorn and
candy.
And candy at that point.
Yeah.
They brought in the nacho.
The nacho was a game changer.
Oh, game changer. And I can remember at Showcase East, they had a roller grill, and they started selling hot dogs.
Yeah.
Right? And I never got the hot dogs. And that's what I'm saying. Like, now, well, not now, but
like that was
5 years ago.
But
I'm a sucker for a gas station hot dog.
Oh, yeah, so am I.
Oh.
Yeah. But, like, that was stuff
The burnt, the better.
Yeah.
It's been on there for 7 hours. I'm fucking eating it.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
It's fucking garbage anyway.
Yeah.
That shit's so processed. It'll probably last through a holocaust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a holocaust.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
not what I meant.
A nuclear attack.
A nuclear attack.
Yeah.
That's what it would last through.
Yeah, Ian just got us canceled.
No, I didn't mean that.
I know.
But the story behind that, I was just reading. I just watched a movie on the I did. I just watched a movie on the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I just watched a show on the synagogue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
where they came from.
right.
Sorry, a little drunk. I am not.
Yeah.
Not that person. But anyway, when they came out with that shit, I was just like, wow.
The funny thing is, like,
Game changer. Now today you can get whatever the fuck you want there.
Yeah.
Back in our day, it was limited.
right? But it was like, that's
Raisinets were still on the menu.
It was
Who the fuck eats a raisinette? I
have no idea. Yeah. The funny thing is, like, it wasn't like having gone to the drive-in as often as I did as a kid. I don't know how often you went to the drive-in. Your mom was more of a, we're going to the theater.
Yeah,
we're not going to the
never
drive-in.
went to the drive-in.
My parents we went to the drive-in because
That
it was
was
cheaper.
later in my life.
But like, you go to the drive-in and you had the nachos and you had all that other stuff.
Yeah,
like,
burgers and dogs,
because they
fries.
They had a building for that.
Correct.
A movie theater didn't have the size.
Right.
Like, it was like an island in the middle of the lobby.
You're right. Like Showcase East.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like,
they only had so much room.
Right. So, like, having the nachos was like a, holy shit, you could do that here?
Yeah.
You having the roller was like, oh shit, you could do that here? But, like, now, like, I remember, like, going in and they're like, you can have a beer. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No, I can't mix beer in a movie. That's unnatural.
I don't.
Neither do I.
To this day.
To this day. I mean,
Well,
not that I drink, obviously, but I mean, like, it never occurred to me to, like, have a beer or two as I'm watching a movie.
the last time I had a beer at a movie.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Was probably when I saw Pee Wee Herman down in Lawrenceville.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and G and I got like a couple beers and watched the movie.
Yeah.
Great experience. I've talked about it on the podcast before. But that was probably the last time I had a beer at a movie. Like, even when they came out with, luxury seating at Lowe's and this, that, and the other, I never really got into the beer thing.
No.
Going to a movie.
No.
I just wanted my standard, maybe because I'm old-fashioned, but I just wanted my, old-fashioned popping popcorn.
Yeah.
Or a nacho.
Yeah.
And just want to sit there and, watch the movie. I didn't need beer.
No, neither do I. Like, I don't...
You know what I mean?
It doesn't help my...
Right.
Exactly.
But it's changed so much. I mean, you eat chicken fingers to pizza. It's so funny. I mean, and like, I think kids take that for granted. To tell you the truth. I mean,
right.
Like they go to the movies. Oh, what are you gonna get? I'm gonna get a hot dog and chips and chicken fingers and a pizza. And I'm like, man, back in the day, we didn't have any of that shit.
Yeah,
we had fucking stale ass popcorn, soaked down with butter
and a lemon blend.
Baby.
Yeah,
that's what we had. No, really. I mean, that's what we had.
Yeah, it is.
That lemon blend was fucking off the
hook,
though. Never forget that lemon blend.
Oh, I would. There are days where I think to myself, man, I wish I could have some lemon blend.
Like, I mean, I'm so old that I remember going into the theater and I always begged my mother, and you can probably remember this, begged my mother to go in at least an hour early so we could play video games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I remember the video games that were there at the theater.
Yeah.
It was like asteroids and shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that is dating us.
I was like Zaxxon.
Oh.
Tempest. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why you're my brother.
Yeah.
Tempest and fucking Defender and all that shit. And we were like...
You get like the rare like Burger Time.
Oh, Burger Time. What a great game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joust. There
was always an occasional Joust.
Yeah.
Like every place had a Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was like it was either Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man, but like the other ones, like you can tell like how uppity is this place? Like what do they have? Like the lower ones that have like an asteroids or a Tempest, and like some of the upper crust ones that have like a Zaxxon or a Defender or like the more sophisticated the game was, the more sophisticated the theater was.
Yeah. Upper crust there.
Yeah. You're in a rainbow. You were playing
nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You were playing nothing.
You got nothing.
Yeah. You got fucking Uno.
Yeah.
You got nothing at Rainbow. I don't even remember a video game at Rainbow. I don't ever remember a video game machine at Rainbow. Ever.
I seem to recall like near the end they had a couple, but it was like, I mean, we're talking like this is the 90s. They had like an asteroids machine,
Yeah.
But like you go with Showcase Cinema East, they would have like
the whole line.
Yeah, Defender and
the whole front section.
Yeah,
that whole when you walked in, it was just all video games on left and right.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
What was the one with the guy with the beer tap?
No, Tapper.
Yeah, like that was.
I got that.
Yeah,
on my console back there.
Yeah, Tapper was one you'd always like. Depending on where you were, like sometimes it was beer, and sometimes it was like the guy he had they had an A&W root beer sign in the back, and it was like supposed to be root beer Tapper.
Yeah. That's a wild machine.
That is. I always figured you got Robotron in there. That was always one of my favorites.
Nah, it's a lot of old games.
Yeah.
But the gems of the creme de la creme on that machine that I have there.
Yeah.
is Xavius
Yeah.
and Joust.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
I think I have Elevator Madness on that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Joust is the big one.
Yeah.
Because I fucking love Joust. I do.
You kicked my ass plenty of times at Joust, that's for sure.
Well, Joust was so good because number one, it was a good game. It was well designed.
Yeah.
And number two is when Ready Player One came out. Well, when the book came out.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, fuck, this is...
Like, you were, like, right there.
This is my alley.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I mean, Joust was always one of my favorite games, period.
Yeah.
But, yeah, fucking Joust. I love Joust. I used to love freaking Defender 2.
Yeah.
Not Defender 2 or Defender 3.
Right.
Defender 1.
The first Defender, yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I could never get Tempest, though. I could never...
Tempest I was good at.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because Tempest, as I remember, and I should have been good at it, and this is the reason why, because I'm pretty sure, unless I'm wrong, and maybe that's why I wasn't good at it, but I'm pretty sure that the dial was on the left side.
I don't remember what side it was on.
Because there was a dial.
Yeah,
you had to do the dial.
Yeah, I remember you doing the dial with my right hand.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, I always remember it being in the middle. And then the fire button, there was like two fire buttons, one on the left, one on the right. So you could go right hand on the dial, left hand on the fire button, or left hand on the dial, right hand on the fire button.
Right. Because I remember on Street Fighter, which I brought up a number of times on this with the punching machines and everything.
Yeah.
But when they switched to knobs, not knobs. What am I trying to say? Buttons. Yeah. No, when they switched to buttons.
Buttons, yeah.
And most games back then, as you probably remember, I would switch hands. Like I would go like this.
Yeah.
That's how I played my video games. Yeah. I would cross my arms so that my dominant hand was on the joy. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And the buttons were on my right side.
Right.
As weird as that sounds, but that's how I played my video games. I had to switch over because it was such a right-handed... it's a right-handed roll anyway.
Right.
But that's what I had to do.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we've gone down memory lane long enough.
Memory lane.
Memory lane. Anything like to add to the proceedings there, sir?
I'm trying to think. No.
All right. Well, remember, there are a number of different ways you can reach out and touch us.
Hey.
You can send us an email. That email address is pittsburghnerd@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd. We're very, very easy to find. And we are on a number of podcasting networks. You can find us on the Podbreed Network, the Tangent Bound Network, and the
Weeby Geeks.
Weeby Geeks Network. Yeah, I got that all screwed up.
That's all right.
Yeah. Just give them a Google search. You can find all the other great stuff they have to offer. And lastly, as always, want to thank you, dear listener, for taking the time to check us out each and every week.
Hey.
We can't thank you enough for your support.
We do.
And on that note, the dreamer has awakened.
Peace.